Perfectionism is the gateway to abnormal psychology. A relatively common psychological condition, often considered normal but also viewed as highly abnormal, is the obsessive compulsion for perfection or order, such as perfectionism or excessive cleanliness. Perfectionism is a psychological state that causes people to feel disappointed and distressed, acting as if everything will be ruined if they fail to achieve what they had previously expected. The driving force of ambition. When functioning properly, perfectionism becomes a driving force that fuels ambition and enhances performance. In fact, many perfectionists achieve excellent results in their studies, work, homemaking, and parenting. During your school years, if you don't care deeply about completing an exam flawlessly to get a perfect score, you won't be able to achieve outstanding academic results. Whether in artistic creation, musical performance, or organizing a sporting event, if you do not aim for perfection, you will never reach a high level of mastery or achieve unparalleled technical feats. Therefore, a strict demand for perfection is essential to maintain ambition and relentless effort. However, perfectionism is a double-edged sword. While it can be the motivation that produces great results, it can also lead to severe pathological conditions when the desired level of perfection is hard to achieve. If individuals cannot let go of their desire for perfection, even in situations where it is impossible to attain, they will experience far more stress than others when faced with disappointment or unexpected outcomes. Sometimes they continuously and futilely dwell on things that cannot be salvaged. The core belief that they must strive to be perfect becomes the very cause of their suffering. In particular, perfectionists are highly prone to getting stuck when encountering problems involving factors beyond their individual control, such as work dynamics, social relationships, romance, or raising children. The desire to be perfect leads to a tendency to control and dominate everything around them. Consequently, frequently facing situations that do not go their way plunges them into extreme disappointment. That is why perfectionism is considered a characteristic of mental disorders. It is associated not only with mental illnesses like depression, eating disorders, anxiety disorders, borderline personality disorder, alcoholism, and psychosis, but also with abnormal behaviors such as violence, workaholism, marriage or relationship breakdowns, various addictions, and even suicide. Alongside the stress generated by perfectionism itself, the overwhelming pressure of failing to satisfy these perfectionistic standards is deeply linked to the development of problematic symptoms and behaviors. The inability to accept compromise or ambiguity. The desire for perfection is often intertwined with a person's lifestyle and broader core values, extending far beyond merely accomplishing a task flawlessly. Respect for order and morality. One manifestation of this is a profound respect for order and morality. This ranges from striving to keep one's room and belongings perfectly neat and orderly to adhering strictly to life's rules, managing every minute detail, and honoring commitments and promises without ever being careless or superficial. This is an admirable quality. Whether in family life or the workplace, if perfectionism is channeled effectively, it can create a comfortable environment and foster outstanding management skills. When rigidity breathes stress. However, if taken too far, it can lead to an uncompromising nature, inflexibility, or a complete intolerance for ambiguity, which consequently breeds unnecessary friction and stress. Sometimes, just the sight of a child making a mess on the table or a spouse carelessly tossing their socks on the floor can trigger feelings of extreme disgust and irritation. The suffocating need for control. Some individuals only accept their own way of doing things and cannot tolerate it when others deviate even slightly from their methods. In such cases, they feel compelled to do everything themselves, essentially micromanaging every detail. As a result, those around them lose their freedom of action, creating a suffocating atmosphere that drains other people's motivation. Furthermore, they show very little tolerance for the mistakes or shortcomings of others. If they feel unable to forgive a single instance of inappropriate behavior, they will sever the relationship entirely. Ultimately, this harsh and unforgiving standard is applied not only to the people around them, but also to themselves.
The suppression of instincts. A common tendency among perfectionists is that they are bound by a self-imposed obligation to remain pure, proper, and good, to the point where they refuse to surrender to their natural instincts and desires. They place excessive weight on the notion that instincts and desires are inherently dirty, evil, and immoral. Rationality over emotion. Clumsiness, awkwardness, and an inability to fully enjoy sexual intimacy are easily observable traits in perfectionists. This stems from their hearts being shackled, unable to freely release their natural drives. These individuals tend to be overly rational, constantly suppressing their emotions and feelings, and judging everything through a rigid, formalistic lens. Ultimately, this leaves them completely disconnected from what they truly want. The safe haven of fantasy. Perfectionists often find the objects of their desires in the realm of imagination or fantasy. The reason is simple. In that imaginary world, flawless perfection can actually exist. Many also project their idealized expectations on idols or celebrities. The disillusionment of reality. However, when faced with reality or a potential partner, the illusion shatters. The real world appears flawed, ugly, and absurd, leading to profound disillusionment. Even if they meet someone they consider ideal, they struggle to express their feelings honestly. Their obsession with virtue and beauty makes them hesitant to confess their physical desires. Their ego would be bruised by openly admitting a desire to see a partner naked or to engage in sexual intimacy. To them, verbalizing such desires is an admission of an inner lack and hunger, which equates to denying their own perfection. The clash with reality. When confronted with issues regarding love or sexuality, perfectionists often feel confused and chaotic. They may resort to outright rejection or lash out impulsively. They react this way because their relentless craving for perfection fundamentally clashes with the messy reality of human relationships.